What a morning. That is just artwork. Beautiful. He outdid himself today.
The shiplap is done, I think. Hopefully I did enough for the whole thing. I know I have enough for the downstairs. It's just a question of whether the 2 lofts upstairs I'll have quite enough. You do lose a lot when you mill it all down to dimensional length, and then you lose another ½ inch when you shiplap it and put it all together. We ended up doing it all on the table saw. It came out pretty good. I originally was going to do it with a router. That's how I did beforing in my house. But it just wouldn't do it. I was taking too big a bite. The router just didn't like it. So faster, better way was just to do it on the table saw. So that's done. We're going to get started laying that hopefully here real soon. Right now we're going to put bubble foil, you can see it behind me, down as an underlayment underneath the floor. The cabin is supposed to be just kind of a, I don't even want to call it a 3-season. Let's call it a 2-season. Warm part of the spring, summer, warm part of the fall. Pretty much screens, but I have a sneaking suspicion that as time goes on they'll want to be able to heat it a little bit. So I figured if we at least put a radiant barrier down, that will help the floor, and now is the time to do that, and then they can work on the walls later on if they want to start to insulate the walls and the ceiling. But time to do the floors before it goes down. This stuff's pretty awesome. It's not insulation. People mistake it for insulation. It's not. But what it is a great radiant reflector. So any heat just gets reflected back up into the room rather than getting sucked right down into the ground. But it doesn't mean that it's going to hold your heat all night long. I've got it in my house under my floors where the radiant heat runs. So it goes floorboard, radiant heating, and then that reflective bubble foil, and it makes a big difference. Even when the heat isn't running, the floorboards are much warmer on your feet. So it works. So we're going to get going putting that on, and then we'll start laying some floorboards. All right, so bubble foil was all on. We're getting ready to lay the floor down. Talk about reflective heat. It's a nice sunny day today. It's not that warm, maybe 65 degrees, but I was standing over on this side collecting some staplers and stuff, and it was uncomfortable. The sun's coming down at an angle like this and bouncing up in my face, and it was Africa hot. So it's amazing. Just right there you can feel what this stuff does. Finally, the decking is all done. We're ready to start doing walls. It took some doing. You can see I tried to stagger the width so that it was a pretty random pattern on it. And it, you know, between shiplapping all the lumber, and then because this is the subfloor and finished floor all in one. Oh, excuse the grunting. I need to put steps up. My little hobbit legs don't like to step up on this thing. Where was I? Oh yeah. the shiplapping took a long time, and then each board had to fall in the middle of a joist, which theoretically, was all the same, and it came out pretty close once you got a pattern going. There's a little bit of wobble in some of the joists, but what I did find was I had to, on each one of these joints right here, I had to put a shim underneath to support them, because it went down over the bubble foil, and it's like probably 3/16 of an inch, like a sponge almost. So a long board spreads the load out, so it wouldn't compress it. But on this edge right here, if I didn't put a shim under it, when I went to nail it down, it would compress it, and I'd have like a toe stubber between these boards and this board. So that took some time, having to put a shim underneath each one of those joints. There's a lot of joints on this thing. But we're ready to go with walls now. Today is Saturday, end of the day. We're just finishing up, and hopefully I'm going to take tomorrow off and get going, I hope, on walls on Monday and Tuesday. And then I got to go do real work that I get paid for. So we'll take a little break after that. But that's where we are right now.